Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Smackdown on November 15th, 2016. Well, there's one thing you can definitely go off and say about about this particular SmackDown is that Survivor Series storylines were pretty much superseding whether or not you were face or heel in this case. But we'll go through the entire show, and I'll kind of explain how that fully goes along with everything. They start off the show with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. They cut a really short promo, just basically explaining the show, welcoming the people, and it was off to the first match of the night, which was going to be Miz versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title. And what can you say? These guys put on great matches. They do. They put on another really good match here. Just it was just in the end. It was the result that probably got a lot of people in the end. The only thing that you can really say with the fact that the Miz is winning the Intercontinental title going into Survivor Series is that they wanted to play the more heel versus face dynamic in the Intercontinental title match, with of course Miz being heel and Sami Zayn being the face. And that's probably what they wanted to go off and do with everything in that case. It also brings up the question of whether or not they're going to actually have Sami Zayn win the match in any way, shape, or form, which a lot of people were kind of thinking that was going to be the case, but now the fact that they switched it here on SmackDown makes you kind of think that they're not going to do it on Survivor Series, though they've been known to do that in the past as well. And, I'm taking a look at my notes. There's not really a lot of notes to really go through here. The SmackDown wasn't that bad by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of the segments went rather long in that case of everything. You also had Alexa Bliss, Daniel Bryan, and eventually Natalya doing a segment backstage. It was basically Alexa saying, it's like, I want another title shot, everything in that sense. And of course, I guess this is the new gimmick for Natalya, is that she quotes people, doesn't realize she's quoting people, but gets called out by everybody else for doing it. Because she quotes, I forget what she quoted. It was about, the quote was basically, every time you fall down, you get back up. And then, like, Alexa Bliss calls her out on it and basically walks off. Interesting segment. And like I said, later on in the night, because we'll go off into this next, after basically after that segment, Oni Lorcan made his SmackDown Live debut, or basically his one-off against Kalisto. Kalisto wins in a rather quick match. I mean, nothing really more to say about it other than they're building momentum for Kalisto going into the Cruiserweight title match at the pay-per-view, which also begs the question, even though Brian Kendrick doesn't show up here, is like, with 205 Live, are they going to be airing on Tuesdays and being taped on Tuesdays and everything in that sense? Are they going to be really moving the Cruiserweights over to Tuesday nights in SmackDown, or are they going to keep them on Raw and they kind of got to travel both to both shows in that case? Really good segment, I thought, or at least a very entertaining one, though it does play the aspects of heels and faces pretty weirdly. You had the SmackDown Live's tag teams backstage. At least four of them. You had the Usos, you had Rhino and Slater, you had the Hype Bros, and you had American Alpha. And Heath Slater and Rhino said, it's like, we got somebody in here to basically pump up the team going into the Survivor Series 10-on-10 tag match, and it ends up being King Booker. And of course, he comes out doing his crazy variation of British accent. Of course, has the proclamation and everything to go along with it. They get interrupted by Breezango, and they basically start handing out fashion citations and everything in that sense. The segment came off all right. It was a little bit wonky and out there, and it begged the question here throughout the entire night. Even though they put this off as like a crazy special show, it didn't feel well. I get no. Before I fully say that, it did feel special in the end because you had the good match with Ziggler and The Miz, and the closing segment was really good as well. Up next was Nikki Bella going up against Carmela. This match eventually ends in a no contest. This match went on for a good chunk of time too. Eventually, Charlotte shows up at ringside, like she bought a ticket and everything like that. I'm so glad they went back to like a classic style. Almost to like a classic style heel tactic that Charlotte would show up saying she has a ticket and showing her ticket that she bought a ticket for the front row and everything like that, all heelish in that sense. And this is where you go off and say, well, you could even say about the tag segment as well, where right now storyline of Raw versus SmackDown supersedes the fact that you're heel or face, because eventually Nikki Bella attacks Charlotte, brings her ringside, and that's what causes the disqualification, even though she didn't get attacked herself. Weird on that sense, but the entire Raw team, keyword, the entire Raw team jumps Nikki Bella, and then of course Carmela ends up helping Nikki Bella in the end to go along with it. So it kind of everything kind of superseded whether you're heel or face. Is like Raw was with Raw, SmackDown was with SmackDown. It's like, okay, they're not really infighting now. They're kind of coming together in that sense of everything, like to the point that even like the first two people that hit the ring to help Charlotte were Bayley and Sasha, like the two big faces. And they were the first two to hit the ring. At that point, I mean, that could just be full-on coincidence to go along with that, but they're making it play off as like, even though like Bayley and Sasha, faces and not really big friends with Charlotte, putting the differences aside for this one particular thing. And then you saw that with SmackDown as well, where all four of the others ran out, and SmackDown stood tall in this case. Makes you lead to believe that Raw's probably going to go over there and that in that match, and a lot of people feel like that's going to be the case. If SmackDown wins 2 out of 3, they're going to win the tag and the men's one, where the women's one is probably going to go over to Raw, and that's that area of everything. Up next was a 16-man tag match. Not much to really say about this match. The match was fine. It was an okay match, but not much more to say about it. Like, when it comes to building tension between the tag teams in the 10-on-10 match on Sunday, they did that more over on Raw. SmackDown-wise, they've kind of all been really together. So it's one of those things that they haven't really built much tension amongst the tag teams in the terms of, oh, people might turn on one another and everything in that sense. It's been the one spot that they haven't really necessarily done that with in this entire build-up. So the match was okay. They didn't play the dysfunction card like they played pretty much all Monday, and not so much tonight with everything. So this leads into the final segment of the night, which was Edge's cutting edge segment. He had the entire SmackDown team out there. They start cutting their promos, and it's basically like they've kind of fully come together. Though they talk about just playing nice with each other for the time being until after this, and then like Dean Ambrose says, "I'm coming after the title, this and this and this and this," and it looked like things were gonna go awry, and then lo and behold, The Undertaker shows up. Obviously, he was advertised for the show, but The Undertaker shows up in this one. And this is the big thing about this segment, was that The Undertaker announced that WrestleMania wasn't going to be his only time showing up, making you feel like he's going to be showing up on SmackDown more. And he even announces that he's going to be part of the SmackDown crew at some point in time. Probably not on a weekly basis, but you're going to be seeing him a little bit more. And that's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how they're going to be playing all of that off going into Rumble time, maybe even TLC. I doubt they'll set up anything for TLC in any way, shape, or form with them. And it even leaves the question is like, hey, maybe Undertaker replaces Shane on the team. Who knows where they're going to go with everything in that sense. But that was the big thing to take about, is that it seems like Undertaker is going to be showing up a little bit more often now. Other than that, he lays out a warning. He's like, you shouldn't fear failure, but if you fail, you should fear the Undertaker. And then, of course, he got a tagline as well. I don't really... Yeah, I'll repeat it. It's a bad one to go with. He says he's taking souls and digging holes. Yeah, that was a bad one. But otherwise, good segment in the end to end off the show. Like I said, there wasn't much to the show in the terms of everything. Segments kind of ran a good chunk of time on the show, so there wasn't too much to the show to begin with. Though what you saw wasn't that bad as well. It was probably a pretty good way of going into Survivor Series for the final show, or for the final SmackDown. So overall, not too bad. And with that being said, that is my review this week for WWE Smackdown. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.